What if the calm, grounded version of you isn't a fantasy, but a habit you haven't built yet? This speech isn't about escaping anxiety. It's about mastering it in the smallest, realest moments of your everyday life. There's a split second between feeling the anxiety rise and letting it take over, and that moment is everything. It's the space where you either spiral or shift. Most people don't even realize they have a choice in that moment. The body tenses, the chest tightens, the mind starts racing, and suddenly feels like the anxiety is driving the whole ship. But that's where these 5 words come in. I am in control now. They sound simple, but they carry a force that can snap you out of that default fear loop. When you say them, you interrupt the panic. You pause the runaway train of thoughts. And that pause is powerful. It gives you your breath back. Panic is the body reacting to a threat that often isn't real. It's ancient wiring firing off in a modern world. The brain doesn't know the difference between a real lion and an unpaid bill. It just senses danger. And the body responds accordingly. Your palms sweat, your stomach flips, and suddenly you're convinced something terrible is about to happen. But here's the truth. Most anxiety is a false alarm, and saying, I am in control now, is like hitting the emergency stop button. You're not pretending the anxiety isn't there. You're telling it, you don't get to run the show. That switch in mindset flips everything. When you speak those 5 words out loud, you activate a part of the brain that overrides panic. It's called the prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking part of your mind. Anxiety pulls you into survival mode. These words pull you out. They send a signal to your brain that you are not in danger. You are aware. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates control, and control creates calm. This is how you teach your body to feel safe again, not by running from the fear, but by standing in it and choosing to lead. Even if your heart is racing, even if your thoughts are screaming, you stay present. And that presence rewires your response. It's not magic. It's biology. Your body takes cues from your words, your breath, your posture. Most people breathe shallow when they're anxious, making everything worse. But if you pair I am in control now with a slow, deep breath, you're literally sending a new message to your nervous system. You're saying, we are safe. We've got this. And over time, your body starts to believe you. The more you repeat it in the moment, the faster it becomes your new default. The panic doesn't disappear overnight, but your response gets stronger. You stop feeling like a prisoner in your own mind. The key is repetition. Practice these 5 words when things are calm, so they're ready when things aren't. Say them in the mirror. Say them during your commute. Say them before a meeting. You're building a neural path every time you speak them. You're training your brain to respond instead of react. That's how habits form, through practice. The problem is most people only try to fix their anxiety during the storm, but training starts in the calm. That's how you build the muscle of self-control. That's how you prepare for the next wave and face it without fear. It might feel awkward at first. You might doubt the words, especially when the anxiety feels bigger than you, but keep saying them. Say them until they don't just sound like words. Say them until they feel like truth. Because the truth is, you do have power in that moment. You just haven't been using it. You've been giving anxiety the microphone. Now it's time to take it back. Your mind may still race. Your body may still react. But the words ground you. They anchor you. They remind you that no feeling is final and no thought is fact. You are not your anxiety. You are the awareness behind it. And awareness is everything. It's the gap between trigger and reaction. Most people live in that reaction all day, every day. But you don't have to. With one sentence, you can shift. You can go from drowning in the feeling to observing it. That's the power of language. It creates a pattern interrupt. It wakes you up. It gives you back your breath. I am in control now might not stop the anxiety immediately, but it will stop it from owning you. And that's the beginning of healing. This is how you train your brain to trust you, not with perfection, but with consistency. You don't need to feel 100% calm to be in control. You just need to stop handing the wheel to fear. You're not erasing anxiety. You're just refusing to let it define your decisions. That's the shift that changes everything. When you stop reacting and start responding, you take your power back. And every time you speak those 5 words, you're reminding yourself who's in charge. Even if your voice is shaky, even if your thoughts try to pull you back, you hold the line. You breathe through it. Anxiety isn't weakness. It's a signal that something needs your attention. But it's not a death sentence, and it's not permanent. It's a challenge you can face moment by moment. Every time you choose to say, I am in control now, you're rewiring your relationship with fear. You're reminding your body that you're not under attack, that you are safe, that you can handle this. And you've already survived your hardest days. Now it's time to learn how to feel safe in your own skin again. It starts with words. It starts with one breath. It starts with you. What you say to yourself matters more than you think. Every word is a command to your brain, a signal to your nervous system. Most people walk around unconsciously repeating fear-based phrases that fuel their anxiety. I can't handle this. This always happens to me. I'm going to mess this up. Words like these aren't harmless. They're instructions. They program your thoughts, your behavior, and your energy. If you speak chaos, you live in chaos. But the opposite is also true. Speak calm, speak strength, speak direction, and your life starts to shift. Because the story you tell yourself becomes the experience you live. Your brain listens to the words coming out of your mouth. Even if you're joking, even if you don't fully believe them, language shapes thought, and thought shapes emotion. That's why those 5 words, I am in control now, carry power. They're not just affirmations. They're an anchor. They remind you that you're not at the mercy of your anxiety. They disrupt the script you've been playing on repeat. When you start choosing your words with intention, you're not faking confidence. You're forming it. You don't wait to feel calm to speak with clarity. You speak with clarity to feel calm. Most people wait until their emotions shift before changing their language. But the shift begins with language itself. If you keep saying you're overwhelmed, your brain will find proof that you are. If you keep saying you're not good enough, your body will respond with stress and self-doubt. But if you choose words that direct your focus, your reality follows. I am in control now is not just a phrase. It's a doorway. It leads your brain out of survival mode and into grounded awareness. You teach yourself to move with intention. You give yourself something solid to stand on when everything feels shaky. You don't have to believe the words fully at first. The belief comes through repetition. Say them in the middle of a stressful day. Say them when your chest is tight and your thoughts are racing. Say them even when it feels like nothing's changing, because that's when they matter most. You're building a bridge back to yourself. Each time you choose those 5 words, you are laying down a new mental pathway, one that says, I'm not spiraling, I'm steering. It won't erase the feeling in an instant, but it will keep you from getting lost in it. That's real power. The body responds to the tone and rhythm of your voice. When you speak words of certainty, your posture shifts, your breath slows, your heartbeat begins to settle. This isn't just mindset, it's physiology. Your nervous system takes cues from the words you speak. Speak panic and you'll feel panic. Speak control and you'll feel grounded, even if it's subtle, even if it takes time. You're not trying to be perfect, you're just being intentional. That's what breaks the loop. Not avoidance, not denial, but deliberate language. Words that don't feed the fire, but steady your hands as you walk through it. Most people don't realize they narrate their life out loud, the things they say in passing, the way they talk about themselves, the stories they repeat to others. It all adds up. And those words either create more anxiety or more authority. The brain can't tell the difference between reality and repetition. If you keep reinforcing that you're stuck, your mind will believe it's true. But if you speak from your future self, your steady, grounded, focused self, you start to become it. Slowly, steadily, intentionally. This is how you shift from anxious to anchored, from reactive to responsive. You've got to choose your language like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Every sentence is either reinforcing a fear or building a new belief. I am in control now is a belief in action, a way to interrupt the loop and rewire your inner dialogue. It's a pattern breaker, a new rhythm, a different frequency. Say it until your body feels the truth in it. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about reminding yourself you can handle what's in front of you. 'Cause you can. You always have. It doesn't matter how long anxiety has been part of your story. What matters is the story you're writing from this point forward. You are not your past thoughts. You are not your worst day. You are not the fear that creeps in when you're tired and overwhelmed. You are the one who decides what gets repeated, what gets reinforced, what becomes the new baseline. And it all starts with the language you use when no one else is listening. That's where change happens, in the quiet decisions, in the words you whisper in the middle of chaos, in the sentences you say when you feel like giving up. You can't always control what life throws at you, but you can control the words you speak to yourself in response. That's your power. That's your reset button. I am in control now is not about pretending everything's okay. It's about staying rooted when everything feels shaky. It's about returning to center, even if your thoughts are spinning. And every time you say it, you reinforce a new pattern, a new story, a new response. That's what changes your relationship with anxiety, not avoidance, not fear, but the daily choice to speak like someone who's not backing down. So the next time anxiety creeps in, catch it early. Interrupt the spiral. Speak your authority out loud, not in a whisper, not in doubt, but with intention. Stand tall, breathe deep, and say the 5 words that bring your power back. I am in control now. Not tomorrow, not when it's easy, now. Because how you speak to yourself in the middle of the storm determines how fast you find your way out. Say it until your mind listens. Say it until your body believes you. Say it until it becomes your truth. Anxiety can feel like a trap you're stuck in forever. It creeps in quietly or crashes like a wave, and suddenly you're questioning everything. Your breath shortens, your thoughts spiral, your chest tightens, and your world shrinks. It feels like a punishment, like something you need to escape from or fix immediately. But what if it's not a curse? What if it's a message, a signal, your mind and body trying to get your attention, not to hurt you, but to help you? The issue isn't the anxiety itself, it's how you interpret it. You're not broken, you're being alerted, and there's power in paying attention. Anxiety shows up when something inside of you is out of alignment. Maybe you're overwhelmed and haven't paused in weeks. Maybe you're living in a way that doesn't feel true to who you are, or maybe you're carrying pressure that isn't even yours to begin with. When anxiety appears, it's your body waving a flag, saying, hey, we need a reset. It's like an internal fire alarm. It's loud, it's uncomfortable, but it's there to protect you. The mistake is in thinking it's the enemy. The real issue is ignoring the message it's trying to send. You don't silence a fire alarm by smashing it. You listen, then you act. Most people try to numb it, run from it, or pretend it's not there, but resistance only makes it louder. When you avoid the signal, it keeps repeating itself, louder, longer, and more often. The moment you stop fighting it and start listening, everything shifts. You begin to move from fear to curiosity, from panic to power. Anxiety wants you to pause and reflect, not panic and retreat. It's not about weakness, it's about awareness. The faster you tune in, the faster you can realign. It's not there to ruin your life, it's there to wake you up to something that needs your attention. There's a massive difference between reacting to anxiety and responding to it. Reacting is automatic. You feel discomfort and immediately assume something is wrong with you. You spiral into what-if thinking. You shrink, you avoid, you overthink. But responding, that's where you regain control. When you hear the signal and say, okay, what's really going on here? You take the power back. That question alone stops the spiral. It creates space between you and the fear. That space is where healing happens, not in panic, in presence. And that presence is what anxiety is trying to pull you back into. Most people forget that anxiety is a natural part of being human. It's not a glitch. It's part of your design. It exists to alert you to threats, but your brain hasn't evolved to distinguish between physical danger and emotional discomfort. That's why a tough conversation or an unpaid bill can feel like life or death, but it's not. Your body is trying to protect you with outdated software. And that's where awareness comes in. When you understand the difference between a real threat and a perceived one, you don't panic, you lead. That leadership starts the moment you recognize anxiety as a signal, not a sentence. You can learn to thank the signal without obeying it. You don't have to run, hide, or let it control your decisions. You can simply say, thank you for alerting me, but I'm safe right now. That simple shift rewires your entire response. Instead of fueling fear, you create calm. Instead of spiraling, you ground yourself. And each time you do that, you teach your nervous system that it's okay to feel without reacting. That safety isn't found in avoidance. It's found in awareness. You build emotional resilience by learning to feel discomfort without fleeing from it. That's true strength. The challenge is we've been conditioned to believe any uncomfortable emotion must be bad. But discomfort is just data. It's not a threat. It's an invitation to check in with yourself. What have you been avoiding? Where have you been afraid to face? When you start asking those questions, the anxiety starts to dissolve. Not because it disappeared, but because you acknowledged it. Ignored emotions fester. Faced emotions heal. And the more often you face them, the more quickly you can move through them. Your ability to sit with the signal without judgment is what rewires your relationship with anxiety. It stops becoming the enemy and starts becoming a guide. A guide that tells you when to slow down, when to speak up, when to make a change. Anxiety doesn't show up to ruin your day, it shows up to realign your life. But only if you listen. Only if you're willing to pause instead of panic. Most of the time, the discomfort is just your body trying to remind you of what you already know deep down. And when you stop long enough to hear it, you already know what to do next. That's where the real growth begins, in the space between reaction and response, in the space between fear and clarity. That space is yours to own. And it's only found when you stop seeing anxiety as a flaw and start seeing it as feedback. Feedback that says, let's check in. Feedback that reminds you to come back to your body, your breath, your boundaries. The next time it shows up, instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? That question alone can change everything. You are not a victim of anxiety. You are the interpreter of its message, and interpretation is everything. You can't always stop anxiety from showing up, but you get to choose how you respond when it does. That response defines your power. It determines whether you spiral or stand, whether you hide or heal. You get to say, I hear you, I see you and I'm still in control. Because anxiety is not the end of the story. It's a turning point, and every turning point is a chance to come back stronger. Calm isn't something that just happens. It's something you train for. Most people chase peace like it's a destination, but it's not. It's a skill. And like any skill, it's built through repetition, through what you do daily, not occasionally. If you only try to find calm when everything's falling apart, you're always going to feel behind. The real power is found in the quiet choices, the ones you make when no one's watching. How you breathe when you're stuck in traffic. How you speak to yourself in the mirror before a meeting. How you sit with discomfort instead of running from it. These small moments matter more than you think. You don't become calm by accident. You become calm by choosing it repeatedly, when it would be easier to snap, to scroll, to escape. That choice, made over and over, rewires your nervous system. It teaches your body that it's safe even when things feel uncertain. You build emotional muscle in the same way you build physical muscle, even if it's just 2 minutes of breathing, even if it's one moment of pausing instead of reacting. That's the practice. Calm isn't the absence of stress. It's the presence of self-regulation. And self-regulation is a learned behavior. Too often, people underestimate the power of small. They think progress has to be loud, dramatic, immediate. But the truth is, your life is shaped by the invisible things you repeat, the daily rituals, the 5 seconds you take to anchor yourself, the morning thought you choose before grabbing your phone. These micro decisions add up. They build a foundation that holds you steady when life tries to shake you. If you can train yourself to respond with intention in the little moments, you'll be ready for the big ones. Because calm doesn't come from the outside, it's built from within. Every time you choose stillness over chaos, you are teaching your body something different. You are breaking the loop that says you have to live in constant urgency. You are sending a message to your mind, we're safe here. And that message, repeated consistently, begins to take root. You won't see a dramatic shift overnight, but over time you'll realize you're not spiraling like you used to. You'll notice you breathe deeper, think clearer, react slower. That's the result of practice. That's the reward of repetition. And it's available to you every single day. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. You're not going to feel peaceful all the time. Life will test you, emotions will rise, but the more consistent you are with your grounding practices, the faster you return to center. That's the point, not to never feel anxious, but to stop letting anxiety run your life. You build that resilience moment by moment. When you decide not to yell, when you take a breath before replying, when you slow down even though everything tells you to rush. That's where strength lives, in the pause, in the space between stimulus and response. Your nervous system is shaped by repetition. Whatever you do regularly becomes your new baseline. So if you regularly feed your mind with fear, guess what becomes normal? But if you consistently choose calm, even in small doses, that becomes your default. It's about making one powerful choice at a time. You might not control the storm, but you absolutely control how you train for it. And that training doesn't happen once a month. It happens every day, in the kitchen, in the car, in the conversations that push your buttons. It's easy to chase calm when life is smooth. The challenge and the growth happens in the tension. When you feel triggered but choose to breathe instead of blow up. When your heart is racing but you say, I'm still in control. That's when you're rewiring yourself. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Every time you face the tension and choose presence, you expand your capacity. You raise your threshold for stress. You teach yourself that you're not fragile, that you can feel the fire without being consumed by it. If you wait for life to be perfect to practice calm, you'll never start. There will always be noise, always be pressure, always be something demanding your energy. That's why the practice must happen in the chaos, not outside of it. The calm you build in the storm is the calm that stays with you. It doesn't matter if it's messy. It matters that it's consistent. That's how you turn temporary tools into permanent transformation. Not with one breakthrough, but with steady, intentional reps, over and over, quietly, patiently, powerfully. People often want instant results, especially when anxiety hits hard. But growth doesn't work like that. You don't plant a seed and expect a tree the next morning. You water it, you nurture it, you give it sunlight even when it looks like nothing is happening. That's what consistency does. It creates change beneath the surface until one day you look up and realize you're not who you used to be. You're not reacting the same. You're not living in fear. You're grounded, steady, resilient. That didn't happen by chance. That happened by choice, daily committed choice. So don't underestimate the impact of choosing calm today, even if it's just for a moment. Don't wait for the anxiety to disappear before you show up with presence. Start now. Start small. Breathe deeply to yourself. Choose peace, even if your mind is screaming. That choice, repeated, becomes your calm, and that calm becomes your foundation. Not because life is easy, but because you trained for it. Because you didn't wait to feel ready, you just started. One breath, one word, one moment at a time.